So you wanna play Deathblade, eh? Do you like fast-paced, action-packed, intensive, jaw-dropping, light-speed combat where you move around at Mach speed while dishing out absurd amounts of damage, all while feeling like an absolute badass? Well, you ain't getting none of that, cause you'll be too busy laying on the ground dead after the boss decides to sneeze on you a little bit harder than normal. Jokes, jokes. Just kidding, guys. Blade, or Deathblade, is a subclass of the assassin class type. She wields 2 short swords and a third longer one that she uses for certain attacks. Does she fit into the assassin category? Is she not more like a bruiser? Is orange a color or a fruit? I don't know, you can be the judge of that yourself. But anyways, Deathblade is a melee DPS character that does very good damage and relies almost entirely on keeping the back attack bonus at all times, meaning that the majority of her most used skills are back attack enhanced and she deals more damage when attacking the boss from behind. This can prove to be a bit difficult to maintain throughout the entire fight, as bosses can move around very quickly. Fortunately, the Deathblade class has a fantastic way to get over this. The solution is in the form of a skill called Absolutely Extraordinarily Elevated Leap, or AXO for short. When this skill is specced all the way, the Deathblade is able to jump over the bosses, allowing her to reposition behind the boss quickly. This, in theory, should allow you to keep landing those back attacks, thus keeping your damage optimal. In reality though, you're most likely going to just put yourself in a worse spot than you were before and then tank some serious damage. The downside of this ability, aside from murdering yourself constantly, is that it replaces a damage ability, thus lowering your total DPS, but the position readjustment more than makes up for that. Deathblade also has a party buff, a pretty meh one, but a buff nonetheless. The skill that applies this buff is called Spin Cutter, and it gives 12% back in head attack increase for all party members. This renders it completely useless for every character that does not actually benefit from directional attacks. So in short, Deathblade plays pretty well with most melee classes, as they are position sensitive, but a heavily ranged focus group should look elsewhere for a synergy buff. I do want to say that this does not make Deathblade a bad class for parties. On the Korean version of Lost Ark, this has been changed so that 3% of the total 12 is now a flat damage increase for the entire party, making the synergy buff a bit better. Balance changes like this happen all the time, so don't let the current patch affect your decision if you're planning on playing a certain class. Contrary to what one may think, the Deathblade class actually uses a lot of charge-up abilities that keep her stationary. Blitz Rush, Void Strike, and Soul Absorber are all charge-up abilities that are very often used by Deathblade players. On top of that, there is also Moonlight Sonic, which is actually a pretty long hold down skill. All of these combined make up half of the abilities that a Deathblade uses in most raids. So this makes it look like the Deathblade class kinda just sits there for a good chunk of time, which in this game is not ideal. Fear not though, as there is a way to make this a much smoother experience. I present to you Engravings and Runes. The fast charge engraving is honestly a must for anyone that is really looking to push the Deathblade class to higher level content. It makes all the charge up skills much more enjoyable by reducing the charge up time by 40%. Alongside that, we have different runes that increase the casting speed of a given ability, which definitely helps out. Honestly, if there's anything that will feel a bit weird, it's this semi-stationary charge up playstyle. The class looks and feels like it should be fast, but can only really excel once you get some of the previously mentioned things. Again, don't let this scare you. The vast majority of classes require initial investment in order for them to start feeling good. I'm looking at you, Mr. Big Sword, Big Chat, Small Legs, Slow Charge. Just joking, you're pretty cool. Deathblade's identity skill is built around gauge generation. You have 3 orbs that fill up with each use of an ability that does damage to a target. Activating your identity skill makes you glow up like a Christmas tree and makes you look even edgier than before. And y'all thought this wasn't possible, eh? After this, you're able to reactivate the skill, which throws a shockwave generated from the third sword of the Deathblade that deals a good chunk of damage and depletes your entire identity gauge. Depending on how many orbs you had when activating the identity skill, you gain a proportionally scaling movement speed, and attack power buff for the duration of the stance, as well as cooldown reduction on all your skills. The damage of the shockwave is also affected by the number of orbs. There are also 2 class-specific engravings, which is the case for all classes in Lost Ark. Deathblade players mainly use the one called Dancing Explosion, which grants similar buffs to the ones from the identity skill activation. The other engraving is Burst, and is currently only viable in Korea, so I do not recommend using it if you're outside of that region. Please do keep in mind that this information can be outdated depending on when you actually watch this video. So go ahead, get your edge on, and try out Deathblade, as she just might be the class for you. Just don't come crying to me when you watch 80% of the fights from other players' POV since you didn't spec into AXO, cause damage's all I need, bro. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. This is just an idea I had about showcasing the classes of Lost Ark in a more relaxed and not entirely detailed way. I would love to hear some feedback from you, and of course, if you did enjoy what you saw, make sure you leave a thumbs up and maybe subscribe. I'm looking forward to creating more videos like this. Also, feel free to check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/weswes_OG, where I stream 3 days a week and we can have a little chat. Anyways, until next time, I was Wes. Bye bye.